Okay, so I want everybody to meet Marco. He manages 40 holiday homes in Florida. His business survived COVID. It survived back-to-back hurricanes. But his first ever decline in revenue came from Taco Tuesday's second term. $25,000 gone. It's basically from tourists that just stopped wanting to go to the United States. But what's another indicator besides Marco? Well, it's Disneyland, or Disneyworld. And this travel agent is going to tell us why this is a key indicator.
Disney has long driven tourism in Florida, but that engine now appears to be slowing.
It's very clear that Florida is experiencing a downturn in tourism. And the biggest way that we know this is that Disney is offering new promotions to incentivize people to come. And I've never seen more generous promotions and more promotions than what I'm currently seeing for Walt Disney World.
That's a huge indicator right there. When one of Florida's major tourist attractions is needing to get creative when it comes to their promotions to get people to come back, you know there's something wrong. I will believe this more than anything that comes out of DeSantis' mouth or any tourism official in Florida. So we're going to get into this report from DW News, and it's titled, Florida Gulf Coast Sees Drop in International Tourism. And I just noticed that Keir Starmer just resigned. How do our viewers from the UK feel about this? Are you happy or sad? Let us know in the comments. But let's get started on this report out of DW News in Germany.
In Cape Coral, on Florida's Gulf Coast, we meet a man who says Donald Trump cost him around $25,000 last year. Marco Wismayer came here from Germany 11 years ago. Today, he manages more than 40 holiday homes in this region. Many of his clients are Canadians or Europeans. But last year, large numbers of them chose not to vacation in the US.
Bei uns.
For us, tourism and bookings were way down. It was really bad. Why aren't they coming anymore? Because of Trump. They say that.
Now, right off the bat, I have to say I really enjoy this report from DW because they tell the truth. Not like the US reports who will blame it on like the exchange rate or like weather or the Canadians being too poor. So whatever excuse they can come up with. I mean, the truth is we're not going because of the stupid president and the 77 million that voted for him. So I think you're going to enjoy hearing the truth for once from the media. I know I am.
They can no longer come here because of the political situation. Marco says his regular customers are still coming, but not in large enough numbers to keep his business profitable. We didn't lose revenue during the pandemic. We didn't lose revenue after bad hurricanes. The first real decline in revenue came during Donald Trump's second term.
This is why I always repeat that anyone saying in the United States, whether it's a tourism official or government official, saying that they've weathered through COVID and multiple natural disasters and hurricanes, and even in the time period after 9/11, and saying that they always bounce back, well, this situation is a little bit different. And international tourists, whether Canadian or from the rest of the world, we stay longer and we spend more. Oh, co-host is back. Nice of you to show up. Anyways, they talk about this later, the differences between international tourists and domestic.
Official figures suggest Florida welcomed roughly the same number of tourists in 2025 as the year before, but the mix has changed. More Americans, fewer international visitors.
Now, I know I'm pausing a lot, but I really like this report. But I do have to emphasize one point, because this is the part that the MAGA dorks don't understand. You might have, say, 100 US citizens that are traveling to Florida domestically. And for their trip, they might spend like 2 or 3 days there and spend, what, $2,000 to $3,000. I'm just throwing out random numbers. But then you might have the international tourists who might spend like anywhere from 2 weeks to a month there and spending like, what, $20,000 to $30,000 as a family? If you ask me, I would rather have the international tourists because they stay longer and they spend more. So to these mega dorks who feel like Florida's just doing fine, you might be getting domestic money, but you're not getting international money.
The number of travelers from Canada alone dropped by nearly 15%. Nationwide, about 6% fewer foreign tourists visited the US.
But we're seeing that in our...
Further south on the Gulf Coast, Sandra Rios works for the tourism board covering Naples, Marco Island and the Everglades. Visitor numbers here are also under pressure. But she says domestic tourism has helped cushion the impact, at least for now.
Oh, there's definitely a difference. We loved having the international tourists because they plan their vacations well in advance, sometimes a year ahead. So we know that they're coming in. We know the hotels will be full. But they also stay longer. They stay, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, sometimes 2 months.
Okay, so I was wrong. They actually stay longer, anywhere from like 2 weeks to 2 months. But if I was a tourism official, I would rather have the international people who stay longer and spend more, versus all the little domestic trips from their citizens, because they're not really growing the economy. It's just taking money out from one pocket and putting it into the other. Now, they're going to talk to a business that says that everything is fine and dandy with them, but I'm going to tell you why it's not a good indicator.
Industry estimates suggest international visitors spend significantly more per trip than domestic travelers, making them especially important for the local economy. But not everyone here sees a downturn. A 3-hour drive further north, in Johns Pass, tourism appears to be holding steady. At Hubbard's Marina, a fishing trip is being prepared. Another boat is about to set off on a dolphin watching tour.
Notice that they're probably all domestic tourists? I mean, who would wear a USA shirt outside of the United States?
In Naples, one captain told us off camera he felt a slowdown last year. Fewer international guests booked dolphin tours. And there were more fishing trips, which mainly attract Americans. Here in St. John's Pass, the experience has been different. Captain Dylan Hubbard runs a family business, now in its 4th generation. They have a fleet of 12 charter boats. He says they had a good year.
We did not notice a tourism dip by any means in 2025. The beginning of 2025 was a little soft just because we had done such a good job covering the devastation from the hurricane in 2024.
Now, everything's fine and dandy for this charter boat owner. And to be honest, this tour guide probably doesn't care where these tourists come from, whether they're domestic or international. He only cares about whether or not they pay. And while he might be getting the customers, Mr. Marco that we showed earlier, his business is decimated. And the home rental industry is a better indicator to me on whether or not the international tourists are still going to Florida. These businesses might be able to prop themselves up with the domestic tourists for now. But what happens when people domestically can no longer afford to go on vacation? It's just a matter of time that people domestically start to realize, hey, I might not be able to afford this anymore.
So there was a little bit of a challenge getting the word out here that, hey, we did get hammered by 2 massive hurricanes, but we're rebuilt.
So here, hurricanes, not politics, may have played a role on the Gulf Coast. But Dylan points to another factor that draws visitors to Florida.
And I know, obviously, with Florida, we have Orlando. The Mickey Mouse is a big draw internationally, and people don't want to just go to Orlando and go to Disneyworld. You make that flight and that travel from overseas.
But the thing is, the travel from overseas is not happening at the rate it was before. You see, these are the things that the United States citizens still believe is happening. It might have happened before Taco Tuesday's 2nd term, but things have changed now. And I think a lot of US businesses and tourism officials are still in denial, because they still believe everyone's going to come back and then, this is just a downturn or a blip. And this guy here, he's basically relying on the soft power of Disneyland, the big powerful Disneyland. Well, this next part of the segment is going to tell you why that soft power is not there anymore. And if you guys can tell, I mean, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, I'm actually really enjoying this report. Because the US media outlet, they would have ended the report here, saying that everything is fine and dandy. But this DW report, it basically calls out the Disneyland part, so I don't have to. But I'm going to enjoy this.
A lot of times what we experience is the draw of the beaches.
But even Disney has recently warned of weaker international demand at its US parks. And a travel agent that specializes in Disney holidays says they're seeing the shift firsthand.
It's very clear that many international travelers who would normally come to Walt Disney World are choosing to go elsewhere instead. So I personally have seen many Canadian clients who have told me that this year they feel more comfortable traveling to Disneyland Paris.
And I can tell you firsthand that this is happening, because one of my friends earlier this year, instead of taking his kids to Disneyland Orlando, or Disney World Orlando, he went to Disneyland Tokyo instead. Another friend, instead of taking a Disneyland cruise in North America, he took one in Singapore. And how much did each of them spend? Well, they didn't tell me, but I know it was a lot, because there was a lot of moaning and groaning from them. But all I do know is that they avoided the United States and still wanted to give their kids a Disneyland experience. And no amount of discounts or promotions from the United States convinced them to go there. In fact, they probably spent thousands more just to avoid it.
Chris French has been in the business for years. Disney has long driven tourism in Florida, but that engine now appears to be slowing.
It's very clear that Florida is experiencing a downturn in tourism. And the biggest way that we know this is that Disney is offering new promotions to incentivize people to come. But I've never seen more generous promotions and more promotions than what I'm currently seeing for Walt Disney World.
So I don't know if these promotions that are on the Disney World website are good or not. I mean, I don't have kids and I don't go. But what I do know is that these promotions probably would not exist if Disney was doing well. They would not have Canadian-specific promotions if the Canadians were still going. And I even found a promotion specifically targeting the UK as well. So let me ask a question. Do you believe Disney is in trouble with all of these different promotions? Or do you believe this random tour guide that still believes that the Disney soft power is still going strong and will bring in all of the international tourists? For me, logically speaking and thinking, if Disneyland is giving out a bunch of discounts and people are not biting, then this guy's argument saying that everyone's going to come to Florida because of Disneyland, it doesn't hold much merit with me anymore.
Back in Cape Coral, Marco Wismayer is also adjusting, lowering prices and increasing advertising to attract new guests. But global uncertainty and the Iran war are adding to his worries.
Unser Lawn Service,
Our lawn service mows all the property's grass. They drive trucks with trailers hitched to the back, and when the gas prices rise by 25%, then gas costs 25% more and they have to pass that on.
Huh. Who would have thought that everyday services like lawn cutting would cost more? You have to wonder what other services are costing more as well. Now the megadorks, they probably don't care because it doesn't affect them. Yet.
That drives prices up for visitors too.
Ja, und wenn die Leute nicht kommen,
If folks don't come since they're not sure they can fly home, it's quite a tough situation.
ganz schwierige Situation.
Marco is worried about a long-term decline. Dylan remains optimistic. In a state that depends heavily on tourism, the stakes are high and the outlook uncertain.
Now, I really like this report because it didn't end with Dylan saying everything is fine and dandy with my business. And in a sense, it actually negated his claim about Disneyland. But we have two businesses that were featured in this report. One is a fishing tour guide. Two is an accommodation. Now, which one is more important to the tourism industry? A tour fishing guide or the accommodations? To me, it's the accommodation. Because if no one's staying there, it's telling me that the people internationally that would normally stay longer, like 2 weeks or what did that person say? 2 months? It tells me that they're not arriving, and neither is their money. So sure, Florida might be able to prop itself up with the domestic tourists for now. But if things start getting more expensive for the domestic tourists, then what else are they going to prop themselves up with? I mean, the Strait of Hormuz, is it open or closed right now? I can't really tell. I mean, I saw a report saying that it's open again, and then like a few hours later, it said it was closed. So these unpredictable gas prices and the tariffs on their own citizens, it's not going to help. And it's just making things more expensive for the US citizen. But one thing I do know, thanks to this report, I now know the rental industry in Florida is struggling. And sorry to hear Marco's business is struggling. But also, Disneyland is struggling as well. And the soft power of Disneyland, along with all the rest of the soft power of the United States, is starting to die. So as long as we continue to see these discounts from Disney, we know that they're struggling. I'm just waiting to see a 2-for-1 discount. So any noise that we hear from any tourism official or government official saying everything is fine, I'm just going to ignore them and look at the actual metrics that matter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this report. I think I need to start looking internationally for reports now, whether it's from like France 24 or DW, because their story seems to be less biased, and it's even less biased than Canadian ones as well. So for the international viewers, if you have reports like this one, feel free to send it over to me. To close off this video, I would like to thank Waynard from our Discord server for sending over this photo of Louisburg Lighthouse in Nova Scotia. Waynard also mentioned that he used to be an Arizona snowbird for 10 years and has now relocated to Salt Spring Island in BC, and it sounds like he will never go back to the United States. So I want to thank you, Waynard, for sharing these photos, as well as supporting my channel as well. Alright everyone, that's all I got for this video. Let me know your thoughts on this one, because we haven't heard from Florida in a while. Because for me, it's actually good to hear an update from the DeSantis bubble. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all as well. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.